The feet are hip width. Inhale, reach the arms straight up. Bow forward, exhale, soften the knees. Hands reach down to the ground here. And relax the neck fully. Inhale, look up, lengthen the spine. And let's step back to a high push-up position. Lower the knees and lower the body all the way down. Good. Inhale, slide forward. Good. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Our hands are about shoulder width apart, feet at hip width. We're going to take 5 deep breaths. And again, if you're a little tighter in your hamstrings here, feel free to just soften the knees a bit. 4. And take 1 more breath here. Let's walk back up to the top of the mat. Bring the feet to about hip width, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold, hands to the ground. Inhale, let's come all the way up to standing. We're reaching up. Hands are about shoulder width, palms facing in. Exhale, arms to the side. So that's sun salutation A. Bend the knees, inhale, sweep the arms up, sun salutation B. Exhale, forward fold, hands to the earth. Inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine. And let's step back to that high plank position. Lower the knees and lower the chest. You want to keep those elbows in. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. We're going to step that right foot forward, scoot the heel up next to that right hand. Back heel down. Inhale, come on up to standing. Remember to face the foot at 10 o'clock in the back. Exhale, let's place the hands down to the ground. We're stepping that front foot back. Lower the knees and lower the chest. Inhale forward to cobra pose. Exhale back to downward facing. Left foot steps forward. Good. Inhale, rise up to standing. We want to make sure the hips are even, arms shoulder width. Exhale, hands down. We're taking the quote unquote vinyasa, which is the high to low plank, up dog to down dog. Let's take 5 deep breaths here, guys. We want to make sure we're pressing through the heels. Even if the heels do not touch the mat, that's totally fine. We want to make sure that the hands are very rooted, that the thumbs and index fingers don't start to float off of the mat. After your 5th breath, look forward. Let's come back to the top of the mat. Feet to hip width, lengthen the spine. And exhale, forward fold. Good. Bend the knees, coming into chair pose. Come up to full standing, arms to the side. So now entering the first fundamental posture, Padangusthasana. Grab the big toes on the inhale. We want to use the index middle finger, palms facing in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold, gently pull on the big toes for 5 deep breaths. After the 5th breath, look forward. Let's slide the hands under the feet. So if you can, the toes meet the wrists. If not, just get as much of your hand under there as possible. Exhale, forward fold. And again, this will be 5 breaths. We're pretty much just mapping it out for you guys, so we're not gonna consume the whole 5 breaths here. Inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine, hands to the hip crease. Inhale, pull up to standing, and let's bring the feet together, arms to the side. Triangle pose, Trikonasana. We're turning to the right of the mat. Feet are parallel and arms out to the side. Right toes pivot out, reach forward and down, right hand to the shin bone. And left arm takes it straight, or we take the left arm straight up. And gazing out to that left thumb for 5 breaths. Inhale, come up to standing. We're turning the right toes in and the left toes turn out. Reach forward and down toward that left big toe and hand to the shin bone again. Just again, be really careful with that pivot of the toe out, so you go for a very strict toes facing forward. Go ahead, inhale, come up to standing. This is where we're gonna grab our block for the first time in making the ground more accessible for us. We're turning to the back of the mat for Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolve triangle. Reaching that left arm high to the sky with the block. Exhale, charge forward and down, rooting the block next to the inside of the foot. And we're twisting to the right toward the front standing leg. 5 deep breaths here. Arm is reaching up toward the sky. Inhale up to standing. We're taking the block with us. Pivot to the front of the mat. Now the left foot leads. Right arm reaches up with the block high to the sky. Exhale, reach forward and down. Ground the block. So we want equal pressure in that one hand and the 2 feet. We're twisting through the upper body and reaching up with the left hand. Our gaze is up high. And we want to, again, be mindful of that the left shoulder in this case, and that we're working on that external rotation. Inhale up to standing, move the block aside, turn to the right, arms are wide, and back to the top of the mat. So that completes the triangle postures. Step out to the right again, wider than before. This is Parsvakonasana, side angle, arms out to the side. We're pivoting the right toes out, bending the right knee. Let's place the, I guess we are using the block to the outside of our right foot. Grounding through, the arm is extended down, and we're reaching that left arm straight up. So this is going to be the most accessible variation to the extended side angle. Maybe a future day we're going to show you full variations for everything. Inhale, come up to standing, pivot the right toes in and the left toes pivot out. We're bending that left knee on track, so make sure that knee does not cave inward, grounding that left block next to the outside of the foot, reaching the right arm high to the sky. Let's take 5 deep breaths here. Inhale up to standing. Now we probably don't need a block for this one, so we'll set that aside. Turning to the back of the mat, right foot leading. This is revolve crescent lunge, a nice scale version of Parsvakonasana, revolve side angle. The left arm grounds down to the inside of that right foot. We're twisting toward that front leg again and reaching up with the right hand. We're taking 5 deep breaths here, making sure we're pushing out through the back heel. Inhale up to standing, make sure we're coming straight up. Turn to the front leg, left foot leads, good. Pivoting back onto the balls of the back foot. Left or right hand grounds down, and we're twisting now to the left. So one thing to note is we are retracting our shoulder blades behind us, so the shoulders will not round forward as much. We can keep the rear shoulders a little bit more active. Inhale up to standing, pivot to the right again, feet are neutral, arms out, and back to the top of the mat. So that concludes the side angles. Wide angle, Prasarita Padottanasana. Wow, I had a little Sanskrit stumble there. Hands to the hips here. Inhale, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to the ground, shoulder width. Now this is position A. Look up. Exhale, forward fold. So we want to line the elbows right over the wrists, and that's going to depend on the individual. So if your fold is a little bit more shallow, your hands are going to be further forward. Inhale, look up after 5 breaths, hands to the hip crease. Inhale, pull up to standing. Setting up for B, arms reach out to the side to initiate, hands back to the hips. This is your final position. Inhale, look up. Exhale, forward fold. So hands remain here for 5 deep breaths. You want to soften the neck, don't force it. Inhale, come up to standing. Moving on to C, arms reach out to the side. Let's interlace the hands behind the lower back. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, and exhale, take that forward fold. So letting those arms cascade off the back, opening out the front of our shoulders. After 5 breaths, we're coming back up. Hands back to the hips to initiate. Look up. Exhale, forward fold. We're reaching for the big toes, just using your index and middle finger. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold, so we're pulling the crown toward the ground. After 5 breaths, hands to the hip crease. Lengthen the spine, come up to standing, and back to the top of the mat, feet together, or feet hip width. Moving into Parsvakonasana, let's take the hands in reverse prayer. We're going to take a fist bump as the scale version. Right foot steps back, we're pivoting, so we're evening the hips to the short end of the back of the mat. Look up, inhale, exhale, forward fold. Good. I want to keep drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. Shoulders continue to draw together here. After 5 breaths, we're coming up. Pivot to the front, left foot leads. Deep breath in, exhale, take the forward fold. Think about pressing into that back heel as much as you can. We want to keep that front quad, back quad engaged, so the temptation will be to bend those knees. Inhale to come up to standing, turn to the right again, release your arms, and back to the top of the mat. Okay, so that concludes the fundamental postures. You might want to scoot back a little bit and to the left so you have room for your right leg. So, left hand to the hip. The first posture of primary series is called Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana. And so in the scale version, we're holding on to the knee and we're moving around the cabin just so that we stay in frame. Good, we're gonna draw the right knee up and hold it here, 5 breaths. Nice upright posture, then we're moving the leg off to the right for 5 breaths, maintaining that external rotation. Inhale back to center for 1 breath, hands to the hips. We're extending that leg forward for 5 breaths. Release that right leg down. Good, and let's go ahead and do the other side. The left hand captures the left knee. We're holding this for 5 breaths. Steer out the leg to the left for 5 breaths. We're bringing it back to center for 1 breath, hands to the hips, extend the legs. So this is a bit of core here. We want to make sure we're contracting through the front body and we're not leaning back. Good, and we're releasing that leg down. So we're going to grab the blocks for the modified Ardha Baddha Padmottanasana, standing half lotus. We're setting that down right at the top of our mat, and they're hip, shoulder width apart. Okay, good. Now we're grounding into the left foot, cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh, and bending that left knee lower down, hands to the blocks. We're taking 5 breaths here. This is actually a tremendous stretch for our piriformis, which we don't really target that effectively in any of the postures, honestly. After 5 breaths, we're coming up very mindfully and we're switching sides. Ground through the right foot, cross the left ankle on top of the right leg, above the knee. We're hinging forward, hands on top of the blocks for 5 breaths. We're going to do 2 versions of this today because I highly recommend that in a scaled basics version. After 5 breaths, we're coming back up and release that left leg. We'll go ahead and set those blocks aside and moving on to Vrikshasana tree pose, so you still get the flavor of what it's like to take a more full variation. So we're grounding through the left foot. Right foot either comes to the inner calf or the inner thigh, and then hands to heart center. If you want to get a little extension here through the shoulders, you can also reach the arms straight up, although it's not traditional, but it feels nice. After 5 breaths, let's switch sides, grounding through the right foot, left foot to the calf or to the inner thigh. Our gaze is steadied, which is what helps us with the balance. In Sanskrit, it's called dristi, and we're releasing that left foot down and we're coming back to the top of the mat. So moving into the final flow sequence before seated, feet are hip width apart. Inhale, reach the arms straight up and take a bow. Exhale, soften the knees. Good. Inhale, look up, lengthen. We're stepping back to high plank. Lower the knees and lower the chest down. Inhale, slither forward, and we're bringing it back, downward facing dog. So we're only holding this for 1 breath, coming forward to Utkatasana chair pose. Feet hip width, sweep the arms up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take that forward fold, release the neck. Look up on the inhale. Let's go back again, a vinyasa here. Right foot steps forward, warrior 1. We're hanging out here for 5 deep breaths. Arms are shoulder width, palms are facing in. After the 5th breath, we're pivoting now to the left, which is unusual. We normally don't do that, right? But it's here. Take 5 breaths here. After the 5th breath, we're staying on the left side. Open the hips and the arms for warrior 2. And our gaze is steady over the left middle finger. After 5 breaths, we're straightening out that left leg, toes in, right toes turn out, and gazing over the right hand for 5 breaths.